Almost exactly 1 year ago, we are where we are now. Everyone was prepared for sentencing, except Mr. Thomas. I went into detail then of the incident, how he touched me inappropriately during a hug at work, then continued to speak about his immediate family in sexual ways, all day, simultaneously asking if he could touch me again, because he had never felt one like that, referencing my nipple rings. If this made you uncomfortable, it should, because it certainly did me. I said no many times, but I often wonder why I didn't do or say more immediately. Today is the reason. The universe always has a bigger plan than we do, one we can often not envision ourselves. In my last speech, I said I did not understand. And while I still can't grasp the concept of how someone violates and trespasses on another's body, I have gained some clarity on a few things that I want to share. Staying silent prevents healing, and it's necessary from day one. This is a long-used tactic, and that's because it works. I was able to gain support I needed this entire time after sharing without fear of consequence. Not much has changed. I talk to so many older women who are inspired by my courage to stand up, but it always hurts when I have to explain how the same it is. A man did this to me. A man reported it for me. A man took me to report it at the sheriff's station. A man at the sheriff's station took the report. A man will decide the fate of my male predator. An agency mostly full of men covered up for a male and protected his personal assets. So many women are silenced by these behaviors. I am the exception. With that being said, I believe men are the answer. Why? Because men are the problem. If that makes you feel attacked, please take a second and look into why. Because if you haven't done something and you're not out to hurt people, then I'm not talking about you. Women cannot change the narrative, and it's time for men to do that for us. We need men to loudly stand with women, so no more are silenced. It takes courage to tell your guy friends they are wrong and this behavior is unacceptable, and you will not be friends with them if they do something like this to women. It's avoidable on so many levels. It could have been avoided if action had been taken regarding prior workplace complaints. I wasn't the first, and I hope I am the last. How I was treated was avoidable. My PTSD diagnosis could have been avoided had this trauma not been dragged out. We are in charge of our own decisions every single time we make them. While everyone responded horribly in 3 years' time, there were so many opportunities to change their behavior and nobody did. Survivors aren't just healing from what they endured, we're healing from how we were treated when we asked for help. Consent still needs public education. Consent is not the absence of a no, but the presence of a yes. Let me say that again. Consent is not the absence of a no, but the presence of a yes. It is not an accidental line that is crossed. It is a deliberate action. Predators are skillfully targeting people with intellectual disabilities because they know we are easily manipulated and have difficulty testifying. They set up their life so the truth that we tell is completely unbelievable. This is a very calculated style predators live. Taking this path as a victim will 100% without a doubt cause more trauma, not just by agencies in power, but by exclusively men online. It educated me how many men hide amongst us want to hurt women. I've received more hate from acquaintances, coworkers, strangers, friends, and family than I have support and love. I've had to constantly hear things like that. Things like, it's not like he raped you, just wait until he gets out. That I am the reason that men have decided women are not worth the trouble. His first lawyer, James Murphy, said, a man of his character shouldn't have one thing, no matter how bad, ruin his character. Now I could break down why each of those things are wrong and share more, much worse messages, but I'll stick with just breaking down the last comment by his first lawyer. This isn't ruining his character, it is in fact correcting it. Me telling the story of his actions clears up his character to protect more women. These comments are contributing to the problem and the narrative that it isn't a big deal. It's a big deal to me, your daughters, your nieces, your mom, your sisters, trans women, and real men. How dare we do this to victims and their peers, making them fearful to speak the truth because of society's reach into destroying their future. We as a society have turned a blind eye to bullying, gaslighting, and threatening of victims with no regulation in the name of due process or because it's just not bad enough. Dissecting the victim shows the predator that there might be a reason that this is okay. There's never a reason this is okay. I still cannot get food alone, pump my own gas. In fact, I can barely drive to my boyfriend's house without the fear that something bad will happen. While I have come a long way from sleeping in my living room with a gun under my pillow, I will never be without fear. These are not irrational fears. This is women's reality. This isn't the goal for me. I plan to continue therapy to keep getting better, but ongoing trauma, like a court case, makes that impossible. It's required to get over the wall of what you're fighting against to get to what you're fighting for. I was so nervous 3 years ago. I couldn't walk into my own home without tripping over my feet. I still choke on my own saliva sometimes because I'm so heightened in fear, I forget the basic functions of my body. I get asthma attacks when I'm stressed. Just making it to therapy takes everything out of me. I lost 40 pounds when this happened and still can't keep food down as I am constantly nauseous. The nightmares are so much better but still continue. My body breaks out in hives constantly. My blood feels like fire ants are running through it. And a simple hug, something I used to treasure, can turn into days of immobility and fear for me. I hated myself and my body after he violated it. The mentality of victim blaming started right away when I reported the incident, being interviewed on my prior life by the sheriffs. I tried to kill myself multiple times, waking up mortified that I had failed and that I still had to fight this fight. This will be a sentence that I am fighting for the rest of my life. I must not only heal from what he did, but the ways that I treated myself and those around me. I've always had a soft spot for the homeless, an ability to have empathy for those in pain. While becoming homeless, fighting for my job back, I was humbled, and it brought more understanding. You truly cannot heal when you are not in a safe space. You live in a state of constant fear, so you cope. You try so hard not to die, and healing cannot take place when you are like this. As a single mother, I did not have everyday support. My mother was battling cancer when this happened. My best friend passed away shortly after, and then my ex-husband as well. These are things that were used against me as if everything wasn't already bad enough. I did this alone, and my child suffered immensely. I have no words that are appropriate for the courtroom to describe that pain and regret. All my actions are on me, and that is what accountability looks like. I don't get to blame him for my actions that hurt others. I only get to blame him for the hurt to me. He signed up for these consequences of his behavior. I did not. We spend our whole lives teaching children right from wrong, so I'm not understanding why accountability as an adult is negotiable. My message to other women: this is not your fault, no matter how they spin it. Your body, even if naked, must have consent to be touched. How they are treating you is not right. Do not let their skewed morals change who you are. Truth is truth, even without proof. Facts do not change. Somebody choosing to defend the predator over the victim without knowing details is somebody you need to stay away from. Believe people when they tell you who they are. You are not alone. This is a system that does not work. Rules created to hold people accountable are used to get away with crimes, where we should be fighting for the truth, not fighting for legal ways to cover it up. Today doesn't make him guilty. He's been guilty. I know. I was there. No one is prepared to deal with this kind of trauma, especially when it's dragged out for almost 4 years. After he admitted it on tape with the sheriffs. If he had pled guilty when he was arrested, he would be off probation, and probably would have done no jail time because of COVID. This shows he is still unable to take any accountability. I truly believe bad behavior returned with bad behavior just multiplies bad behavior. This is why it is so important to return hate with kindness. No one's mind was ever changed by being mean. This is not just for me. This is for women everywhere. I said in court, like, these are not my words. These are every woman's words. And I just want to clarify, like, I don't want to confuse people. They are my words, as in if I wrote them, but I was saying them for all women. So I ended that a little different just because I wanted to clarify for the internet.